Are you heading to Disneyland soon? If so, you need to know how to rope drop. Rope dropping is a great Disneyland strategy that can save you from waiting in the longest lines if you do it correctly. Why wait longer for popular rides than you have to? Rope dropping is a great way to maximize your time at Disneyland, and I use it almost every time I visit. Today, we'll talk all about rope drop at Disneyland, what time to arrive, where to go, and mistakes to avoid. I find that rope dropping is one of the best ways to experience lower crowds at Disney theme parks, and I think you'll love it too. Before we get going, I'm Melissa with Mixins and Magic. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of my helpful Disneyland planning videos. Quick note, if you're visiting Disneyland soon, please don't pay full price for your park tickets. Discounted Disneyland park tickets are available. Saving money is always a good idea, right? My partners at Getaway Today have the very best deals on park tickets and hotels. Their tickets are always discounted off the gate price, and they have amazing deals on hotels. I've been using them for over 15 years, and I won't buy my tickets anywhere else. They even have layaway plans so you can pay as you go on your dream vacation. I'll put a link to them below, or you can call them at 1-855-GETAWAY and tell them Mix and Some Magic sent you for the best deals. So what is rope drop? Rope drop at Disneyland refers to being inside one of the Disney parks right when the park officially opens. Disneyland starts letting their guests into the park about 30 minutes before the park actually opens. You are allowed to enter Main Street or Buena Vista Street in Disneyland California Adventure, and you can walk all the way to the end before you're stopped by a cast member holding a rope that stretches the length of the street. Right at opening time, you'll hear an announcement welcoming you to the park for the day, and the cast member will remove the rope and you'll be free to head to your favorite Disney park attraction. So essentially, rope drop means that you're one of the very first people to enter the parks for the day. There's no extra cost to rope drop, and anyone can do it. So why should you rope drop? Rope drop at Disneyland is a really great strategy to help you to avoid the longest wait times. The shortest wait times at Disneyland are during the first 2 hours after the park opens. By rope dropping, you can take full advantage of the short wait times and get on the most popular attractions that will have long waits later in the day. Rope dropping at Disneyland is one of my favorite top tips to ensure you have the best time at Disneyland. Because you arrived early, you're already in the park and getting on your favorite attractions like Space Mountain as soon as the park opens. You're living your best Disney life while the rest of the park goers are still in bed or just getting to security and fighting through high crowds to enter the gates. Let's talk about how to rope drop. Rope dropping Disneyland involves getting up early. I hate to be the one to tell you that, but it's true. If you're not able to get up into the parks early, then rope dropping might not be the best strategy for you. In order to rope drop efficiently, you'll need to arrive at the security gates at least 45 to 60 minutes before the park opens. You'll go through security and then you'll line up at the front gate. About 30 minutes before the park officially opens, cast members will start allowing people through the front gates and into the park. Once you're inside the park, you will head straight to your first attraction until you're stopped by a cast member and an actual rope. Here you'll wait until the park is officially open. It's going to seem crowded in this moment, and you might find yourself thinking, oh my goodness, today's going to be crazy crowded. I can't believe all these people are here. What have we done? Take a breath. Everything is fine. It only appears to be super crowded because there's nowhere for all these guests to go. Once the park is officially open, the crowds will thin and disperse throughout the park, and you won't believe how empty it actually feels. Trust me on this one. Once the park is officially open and you're released by the cast member, you can head to your first chosen attraction. You'll be able to walk on most attractions for the first hour or so. Make sure you choose which attractions you rope drop wisely. It can make a huge difference in your overall day. Which attractions to not rope drop at Disneyland? There's several attractions that I don't recommend when rope dropping at Disneyland. Number 1 on my list is Rise of the Resistance. For some reason, the majority of Disney park guests seem to think that the Star Wars attraction Rise of the Resistance in Galaxy's Edge is going to be less crowded first thing in the morning. While most attractions are less crowded in the morning, this is one of the few exceptions. Hundreds of guests rush there each morning, making the first few hours of the park the most busy of the entire day for this particular ride. This is the same for Peter Pan and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Bunches of guests rush to Fantasyland to try to be the first ones on Peter Pan's flight or to Toontown for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And guests rush to these attractions thinking they'll experience shorter wait times, when in fact, they're actually waiting longer than they would if they had waited until later in the day. Part of the problem is that guests who are staying at one of the Disneyland resort properties are able to enter the park 30 minutes earlier than everyone else. So, those guests will already be in line for Rise of the Resistance, Peter Pan, and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway before you even get there, making those lines even longer. The very worst part about rope dropping these attractions is that these misguided folks are now wasting prime morning hours that are famous for a low crowd stuck in long lines. It's sad, really. Lucky for us, you now know better and won't waste your precious morning hours on these attractions. We'll talk about the best time to ride these attractions in a bit. Which attractions to rope drop at Disneyland? The list of which attractions to rope drop at Disneyland is long. There's so many great options. As long as you avoid the ones I talked about before, you really can't go wrong. I like to check off some of the big ticket attractions during the first 2 hours. I usually rope drop Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, then head to Jungle Cruise, Indiana Jones, Pirates, and Haunted Mansion. I'm able to check off 5 of the big rides in the first 90 minutes or so of the park being open. Or some days I'll start with Space Mountain and then head to Star Tours, Buzz Lightyear, Matterhorn, and Alice in Wonderland. Again, that's 5 big rides checked off my list in the first 90 minutes, and that's a big deal. If you're not really interested in riding headliner attractions first thing in the morning or want to save them to use with Genie Plus later in the day, Fantasyland is a great place to start. This land is the perfect place for small children to start their day and has some of my favorite attractions. So, which attractions to not rope drop at California Adventure? Let's talk about that. Just like my list of attractions to not rope drop at Disneyland, California Adventure has an attraction that you should steer clear of during the morning hours. That attraction is Radiator Springs Racers in Cars Land. This popular attraction is swarmed in the morning with frantic guests trying to ride it first thing. It's actually quite stressful. Guests with early entry will already be in line by the time you get into the park, so you'll have a long wait first thing in the morning. Save it for later in the day. The wait time for this attraction usually drops quite a bit in the evening. Which attraction should you rope drop at California Adventure? There's so many great rides to rope drop at Disney California Adventure, it's hard to list them all. I usually like to head to Guardians of the Galaxy or Pixar Pier first. If you head to Pixar Pier, you can do Goofy's Sky School, Incredicoaster, Toy Story, plus a few extras in the first 2 hours. It's a great place to start. Save Little Mermaid for later in the day because that attraction always has a short wait time. Now you're probably thinking, but I heard it's best to rope drop the biggest rides first. I'm sure you've heard this. Lots of Disney bloggers recommend it. Your friend at work probably told you it was a great idea, or your neighbor who goes to Disneyland every 5 years and thinks she's an expert told you that's what you should do. I've done test after test on rope drop strategies, so I know what I'm talking about. Please trust me. I will say occasionally I've had success rope dropping Rise of the Resistance, Peter Pan, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and Radiator Springs Racers. But it's not often. If you have a stroller with you or small kids, don't bother. By the time you park your stroller and unload your kids, the lines for those attractions will be over an hour long and you'll miss out on the short lines everywhere else. If anyone in your group is not willing to speed walk in a group of pushing guests, don't bother. If you have anxiety in large crowds, don't bother. If you have a group of teenagers or adults who are able-bodied and up for a challenge, you might just be able to pull it off, but only if you are close enough to actually see the rope and speak to the cast member holding the rope before the park opens. If you're not that close, you're too far away to successfully rope drop any of the attractions listed above. Let's talk about rope dropping with Genie Plus. Disney Genie Plus is the new system at Disneyland that replaced the old Max Pass, Fast Pass system. You can definitely combine Genie Plus with your rope drop strategy. Because of low wait times in the morning, I don't recommend using Genie Plus until later in the day if if you're not park hopping. So take advantage of the low wait times and save your Genie Plus lightning lanes for later in the day when crowds are higher and wait times are longer. If you are park hopping, you'll be able to hop to your second park at 11 a.m. Since you'll be spending time at both parks, you'll want to use your Genie Plus earlier in the day. Spend some time on attractions that don't offer lightning lanes, like Pirates of the Caribbean, first thing in the morning, and then start using your Genie Plus lightning lanes so you'll be ready to hop later in the day. Okay, who should not rope drop? I have ideas. Now, there's some people out there who really shouldn't rope drop. I hate to say it, but it's true. If you have very small children who need to sleep in and have a leisurely breakfast, rope dropping might not be for you. If you or someone in your group absolutely hates mornings and are going to complain and grumble all day about getting up early, rope dropping might not be for you. If your idea of a vacation doesn't include getting up early and you'd much rather sleep in and deal with larger crowds, rope dropping probably isn't for you. Rope dropping isn't for everyone, but you can still have a wonderful vacation at the Disney parks without rope dropping. I do recommend arriving as early as possible so that you're able to take advantage of the low wait times for the most popular rides in the morning, even if you're not rope dropping. Avoiding long waits is always a good idea. Let's talk about when you should ride Rise of the Resistance, Radiator Springs Racers, and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And Peter Pan. Almost forgot that one. Let's talk about it. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is usually most crowded first thing in the morning, but if you wait until about an hour or two after the park opens, the wait times will go down a bit. So I recommend riding this attraction about an hour or so after the park opens or later in the evening. Just avoid it midday. Peter Pan is always crowded. You're going to wait 30 to 40 minutes no matter when you ride it. I like to ride it in the evening when the sun has gone down. The line is in direct sun most of the day with very little shade, and it can be pretty miserable when it's hot, so I like to save it for after dark. I'm going to let you in on a little secret about when to ride Rise of the Resistance. Shh, don't tell anybody. We don't want the secret to get out. Rise of the Resistance is consistently about an hour wait most of the day. This attraction has a paid lightning lane that allows those who purchase it to skip the regular line. This makes the standby line quite long for everyone else. But as soon as the attraction closes, cast members stop letting lightning lane guests into the queue. This means a much shorter line. So you want to jump into line for Rise of the Resistance about 5 to 10 minutes before the ride closes for the day. When I do this, I usually end up waiting about 20 minutes or less. Now here's the catch. Rise of the Resistance closes earlier than all the other attractions at Disneyland. Most guests do not realize this. It usually closes about 8 or 9 p.m., so in order to make my secret strategy work, you need to check the Disneyland app on the day of your visit to see what time the ride closes for the day. Then you'll be able to skip the longest lines. This same strategy works for Racers, although not quite as well, because Racers closes the same time as all the other attractions, so more people jump in line right before it closes. I still like to ride Racers this way, but the line is still a bit long. Radiator Springs Racers does have a single rider line, so if you can take advantage of that, it can really save you time. Phew, that was a lot of information. Hopefully it was helpful for you. If you're looking for more helpful tips in Disneyland planning information, I've got you covered with a new video every Friday. Make sure you're following along for more helpful Disneyland planning information. Thanks for watching. We'll talk soon.